There are discoveries that challenge our understanding of the universe, and then there are those that shake the very foundation of what we thought was possible. What if I told you that a single leaked image, captured in complete secrecy, could hold evidence of something not just unnatural, but potentially engineered, something that isn't supposed to be there? The James Webb Space Telescope, known for delivering the clearest cosmic portraits humanity has ever seen, has just leaked an image of an object so mysterious, so unlike anything ever recorded, that NASA scientists were reportedly urged to classify it immediately. But that didn't stop the truth from slipping through. This is not science fiction. This is 3I Atlas, a visitor from beyond our solar system doing things that no natural object should ever do. And what the James Webb Telescope just saw might confirm our deepest fears. Stay with me, because this cosmic enigma is only beginning to unfold. The leaked image that has set the astronomical community ablaze comes from a high-resolution capture by the James Webb Telescope during its observational sweep in the infrared spectrum. What it shows is chilling. 3I Atlas, originally thought to be a comet, is emitting a concentrated beam of light from what appears to be its sun-facing side. Not a diffuse reflection, not solar flare illumination, a focused projection. The beam cuts through space, sharply contrasting the usual hazy glow we see around cometary objects. More alarmingly, this image shows structural symmetry around the core. This symmetry, with precise 120-degree angles resembling a hexagonal geometry, doesn't belong in a chaotic natural rock drifting through space. Scientists at the European Southern Observatory described it off-record as mechanical in nature. Is this some kind of cosmic artifact? Or are we seeing something far more advanced than any natural process can account for? Whatever it is, it's behaving in ways that have left top astronomers dumbfounded. A comet's tail is supposed to flow away from the sun, driven by solar radiation. That's a fundamental law of physics, until now. 3I Atlas has shattered that principle. Its tail flows directly toward the sun, defying every known physical model. Early hypotheses suggested extreme anisotropic dust jets, but simulations ruled that out due to the symmetrical pattern in the tail's flow. Then came the Webb data. The tail appears to emit in pulsed intervals, almost like bursts synchronized with the object's 16-hour rotation. These intervals show thermal spikes followed by drops, which align with artificial propulsion cycles, not natural gas venting. Even more puzzling is the fact that this tail contains reflective particles that mirror solar wavelengths rather than absorbing them like cosmic dust normally does. In other words, it's not just reflecting sunlight, it's manipulating it. Is it possible we're seeing some form of solar sail or radiation-based steering? And if so, who or what would engineer such a thing? There's randomness in the cosmos, but 3I Atlas's path through our solar system is anything but random. After entering from above the ecliptic plane, it takes a slingshot tour of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, almost mimicking the trajectory NASA designs for deep space missions. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, no stranger to controversy, suggested this might be a gravity assist chain, like those used by the Voyager spacecraft to conserve fuel. Only this object isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Its route is mathematically ideal for dropping observation units or probes at multiple planets without altering course. That kind of planning takes knowledge, strategic intent. And the probability of such a trajectory occurring by chance? Less than 1 in a billion. As if that weren't strange enough, the object will vanish behind the sun precisely at its brightest and most active phase, exactly when Earth's telescopes can't observe it. It's as if it wants to remain unseen. Why has there been no official word from the U.S. Space Command or other planetary defense agencies? 3I Atlas is the fastest, largest interstellar object ever detected, and yet the military is eerily silent. Leaked reports from AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, suggest that the object is being used in live simulations for planetary threat scenarios. In other words, this could be a dry run, a rehearsal. But for what? Some defense analysts believe that its extreme speed and artificial behavior make it a perfect candidate for a reconnaissance probe or autonomous surveyor from another civilization. And since no craft on Earth could intercept it due to its 130,000 miles per hour velocity, the situation has become an observer's dilemma. All we can do is watch and wait. Behind closed doors, high-level meetings are reportedly being held, not just about what 3I Atlas is, but about what to do if it sends a signal, or worse, if it changes course. Upon closer inspection of the leaked image, a group of independent researchers discovered something even more disturbing, an almost imperceptible geometric imprint near the object's luminous region. It wasn't visible in natural light, but Webb's advanced infrared capabilities revealed it clearly. A triangular formation with a central void, surrounded by perfectly spaced concentric arcs. At first glance, it seemed like noise or a sensor artifact, but its precision, location, and the way it shifted consistently with the object's rotation ruled that out. The pattern bore eerie resemblance to ancient Earth symbols, specifically to those found in ancient Sumerian and Vedic diagrams that some fringe theorists associate with contact lore. Mainstream science scoffed, of course, but the pattern remained, undeniable and unexplained. Whether it's a design element or an emblem, the fact that it exists at all implies one terrifying possibility. This object was built and someone, or something, left their mark on it, like an engineer's insignia, staring directly into the Webb's lens. As more observatories tried to gather their own data, something unusual began to happen. Several received cease and desist notices from governmental authorities citing airspace protocol and civilian data security. Even private space startups with orbital telescopes reported sudden connectivity issues or revoked access to their deep space imaging APIs. Meanwhile, diplomatic cables leaked by whistleblowers revealed that the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs had held an unscheduled closed-door meeting with delegates from the 5 major spacefaring nations. The topic: unidentified technological object with interstellar origin. Russia, China, the United States, India, and the European Union all issued a joint silence protocol, allegedly agreeing to withhold any future disclosures unless unanimous. In other words, we're not just dealing with a scientific anomaly, we're watching a geopolitical chess game unfold around a cosmic visitor. And when the world's most powerful nations stop fighting for data and instead choose secrecy, something very big is being hidden. Then came the most unsettling development. Webb's next attempt to observe 3I Atlas, scheduled only days after the leaked image, was aborted. The reason? According to internal memos, the telescope's autonomous tracking software initiated a focus lock refusal. That is, the telescope's AI refused to align and fixate on the object. Engineers were baffled. Nothing like this had ever happened. It was as if the telescope, programmed to target anything, chose not to. Simultaneously, at least 3 amateur astronomers reported seeing brief, erratic flashes in the part of the sky where the object should have been. Flashes unlike any stellar body and timed almost rhythmically. One observer claimed the flashes appeared as if a camera flash had been turned toward us from the void. Could it be possible that 3I Atlas knows it's being watched? Could it be capable of optical manipulation or even defensive countermeasures? What if this probe doesn't just travel, but observes the observers? Now here's where the story turns from scientific mystery to full-blown conspiracy. The image that sparked the entire firestorm wasn't supposed to exist. It wasn't scheduled, it wasn't cleared, and it didn't pass through the normal channels of the Space Telescope Science Institute. The metadata shows it came from a remote operations session, an automated backup image captured during a diagnostic sweep, likely meant for calibration. This raises 2 enormous questions. First, how did it get out? And second, how many more images exist that we'll never see? Some believe a whistleblower inside the Webb program intentionally leaked it, possibly at great personal risk. Others think it was a cyber intrusion from an outside actor, perhaps even a hostile state interested in weaponizing whatever knowledge the image contains. But the most disturbing theory? That the leak was intentional, not from Earth, but from the object itself. That we were meant to see that image, that it wasn't a mistake, it was an invitation. Shortly after the leaked image went viral, deep space monitoring stations across multiple continents began reporting anomalies, not just in data, but in hardware itself. Spectrometers failed to calibrate. Gyroscopes in both space-based and ground telescopes began drifting out of sync. Radio signals bounced unpredictably from the region of space where 3I Atlas was last spotted. This wasn't just electromagnetic interference. It was something stranger, an invisible zone of disruption, as if space-time itself had become unstable around the object. And then, satellites began failing. One by one, low-orbit CubeSats meant to monitor solar activity started going dark as they passed near the projected path of the object. Engineers couldn't explain it. It was as if something near 3I Atlas was absorbing energy, not emitting it. As if the object wasn't just observing, but feeding. Then came the breakthrough, and the panic. A small team of data analysts reviewing the telemetry logs of Webb's infrared scans discovered embedded fluctuations in the return signal from 3I Atlas. Initially dismissed as noise, these fluctuations formed repeating patterns. When translated into binary and mapped against known biological structures, the patterns resembled RNA sequences, complex, redundant, and too specific to be random. It wasn't communication in the traditional sense. It wasn't a message to be read aloud. It was information meant to be decoded biologically. One scientist described it as a biogenic algorithm, a sequence that, if replicated, might trigger a process in organic matter. Some whispered that it looked like activation code. Others went further, suggesting it could be a dormant blueprint, like a genetic catalyst. But catalyst for what? Then, just as abruptly as it had appeared, 3I Atlas was gone. Observatories tracking its motion reported that it made a sudden angular deviation, impossible without propulsion, and then vanished from all visible and infrared tracking bands. No exhaust signature, no trail of heat, no Doppler trace. Gone. Some suggested it had shifted to a trajectory behind the sun, where we couldn't observe it for weeks. Others theorized it had activated a cloaking mechanism. But one thing was clear, we weren't the ones in control anymore. And right before it vanished, a final burst of light was recorded. A strobe-like pulse, 13 flashes, evenly spaced, in a pattern eerily similar to Morse code. Experts tried decoding it using human alphabets, but nothing fit. Then, a linguist suggested interpreting it not as language, but as a countdown. While the world argued about signals and shadows, an anonymous leak on an encrypted forum revealed a far more frightening truth. According to documents allegedly pulled from a NASA communications server, 3I Atlas was not the first of its kind. It was the third. Two others, designated 1I/Oumuamua and 2I/Borisov, had shown similar anomalies, but those were dismissed or downplayed. This new leak contained scans, spectrographs, and even transcripts of internal briefings indicating that all three objects followed the same celestial pattern, arriving exactly 6 years apart, passing through the inner solar system, and then disappearing. But what shocked everyone most was a single phrase repeated in red text across several pages. Contact phase imminent. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a sequence, a mission. And 3I Atlas, it seems, was never the final object, but the one that signals what comes next. After decoding what seemed like a countdown in the final light pulses of 3I Atlas, a group of cryptography experts fed the patterns into an advanced learning model originally trained to detect cyber threats and quantum anomalies. What it returned was not a warning, but a signature. The data contained within the pulses matched the behavior of self-modifying code, recursive, adaptive, and entirely alien in logic structure. It followed no known compression standard, no recognizable programming language. But it worked like software, complex and layered, suggesting that 3I Atlas may not just be a ship or a probe, but a living algorithm, a kind of autonomous synthetic intelligence built not with wires, but with mathematics embedded in radiation and light. And if that's true, then we weren't just looking at a physical object, but at an idea, a thinking entity, encoded across wavelengths, using light as thought, one that had now turned its attention directly toward Earth. Unbeknownst to the public, a small Earth-based radio telescope in Namibia, part of a lesser-known international deep space array, detected a sudden spike in microwave frequency shortly after 3I Atlas disappeared from view. The signal bore all the hallmarks of directed communication, narrow band, frequency hopping, and precisely modulated. But it wasn't directed at Earth. It originated from near-Earth orbit and was aimed outward, toward the precise location 3I Atlas had last been tracked. Analysis of the signal's structure revealed fragments of terrestrial communication, packet headers, handshake protocols, and even spectral imprints from military satellites. In simple terms, someone on Earth had responded. Whether it was a private group, a rogue agency, or a clandestine global alliance, one thing was certain: this wasn't the first contact. It was the second, and it had been kept secret from the world. Following the incident, something bizarre began to surface, quietly, through the cracks of fringe science. Bioluminescent organisms in the deep oceans started displaying erratic behavior, flashing unfamiliar light patterns, sinking in rhythmic pulses never seen before. Meanwhile, astronomers noted subtle anomalies in Earth's ionosphere, as if reacting to distant solar-like emissions. Only there was no solar activity. Even plants in high-altitude biospheres began shifting their circadian rhythms unnaturally. Researchers from 3 separate bioscience institutes concluded the same. Biological systems were responding to an unknown environmental stimulus. Was this the side effect of 3I Atlas's passage? Or something more sinister? An embedded signal now echoing through the planet's magnetic field, slowly altering biological perception at a cellular level. What if the leaked image wasn't just something we saw, but something that saw into us? Finally, when astrophysicists modeled the paths of 1I Oumuamua, 2I Borisov, and 3I Atlas together, an unthinkable realization emerged. All 3 objects didn't just enter the solar system from different vectors. They arrived in a sequential arc, each one penetrating deeper into the inner solar system than the last. When projected onto a 3-dimensional star map, their entry points formed a perfect spiral aimed directly at Earth's orbital path. This wasn't random. This was targeting, or worse, mapping. Some experts now fear that these aren't individual objects, but probes of a larger system, designed to triangulate a precise location over time. Hours. If this pattern continues, the next object, 4I, could appear not in the outer solar system, but within it. And this time, it might not leave. With the help of quantum AI, a coalition of astrophysicists and data artists reconstructed a 3D simulation of 3I Atlas based on the Webb Telescope's spectral data. What they found didn't resemble a spacecraft or a celestial body. It resembled a mathematical paradox. The surface, when magnified, revealed fractal geometry, repeating self-similar patterns that extended inward infinitely. This wasn't just decoration. The entire object was made of a recursive structure. Every edge, every node, every angle was a microcosm of the whole. And when the fractal was converted into spatial waveforms, it revealed something even stranger. The resulting mathematical functions mirrored neural activity in the human brain during moments of creative insight and REM sleep. In simpler terms, the object's structure functioned like a brain, not one that thinks like ours, but one that may have been built to understand, simulate, or even invade consciousness. A strange file briefly appeared on the open access server of a European research institute before being removed without explanation. It contained audio, converted from electromagnetic waves collected by Webb during its last scan of 3I Atlas. Scientists had translated radiation into sound waves, expecting static. What they got was something else, a low rhythmic oscillation, layered with higher frequency modulations that repeated with eerie consistency. When these tones were analyzed, their waveform matched brainwave frequencies observed during deep dream states in humans. But the horror came when multiple scientists who listened to the audio reported having nearly identical dreams. Visions of spirals collapsing into blackness, of an eye made of light, and of a presence, not speaking words, but implanting thoughts. It wasn't a message, it was a psychic imprint. And many now believe the sound was never meant to be heard. It was meant to awaken something inside us. Then came the event that was supposed to be impossible. During a routine calibration, the James Webb Telescope attempted to lock its sensors on the approximate region where 3I Atlas had last been seen. But instead of initiating a passive scan, it activated a silent override. This override, undocumented in its operating protocol, adjusted the telescope's tracking parameters and momentarily rerouted its data flow to an unknown IP node. For 47 seconds, the Webb telescope operated independently, aimed at nothing, transmitting in silence. Then it returned to normal. No official statement was released, but a whistleblower from the STSCI claimed that what Webb had transmitted was not an image, but a single burst of encoded pulses, too short to contain data, but too structured to be noise. Some believe Webb received a remote instruction, not from Earth, but from the object itself. A handshake, an acknowledgement, a warning. Finally, it happened. A minor observatory in Argentina, scanning the outer reaches of the Kuiper Belt, reported a new anomaly, an object on an intercept path similar to 3I Atlas, but larger and moving slower. It was designated 4I Icon. Within hours, data from the telescope was scrubbed from public access, and the observatory went offline. But not before one final image leaked, a blurred silhouette with 3 sharp points, trailing a faint spiral of light, and what appeared to be a central core emitting artificial radio bursts. If real, this would confirm what many feared. 3I Atlas was not alone. It was part of a series. And now, the next phase has already begun. Some believe these objects are scouts. Others say they're markers, seeding signals across space. But a growing number of scientists now agree. This is not exploration. This is a sequence. And Earth is the node they've all been orbiting toward. In the end, it wasn't the leaked image itself that terrified scientists. It wasn't the signal. It wasn't even the eerie biological reactions. What truly shattered their understanding was the pattern, a quiet, deliberate rhythm that had threaded itself through every discovery. From Oumuamua to Borisov to Atlas and now Icon, each object carried a piece of a larger puzzle. Not an invasion, not communication, something worse, something incomprehensible. A presence so advanced it doesn't speak, because it doesn't need to. This isn't science fiction. It's not prophecy. It's calculated emergence, because the universe has always whispered truths we refuse to hear, that we are not the center, that we are not the first. And maybe, just maybe, we are not even alone in our own minds. James Webb, in its quest to look further than any instrument before, may have pierced a veil we were never meant to lift. Not because what's out there wants to harm us, but because it wants us to understand something we can't survive understanding. And now, it's too late to unsee it, too late to ignore it, too late to pretend the silence means safety. The objects are coming. They are not sending messages, they are messages. And Earth, we may be the receiver.